Once you have chosen the credit card offer that you want to apply to, the next step is to actually go through the application process and make sure that you're doing all the steps necessary to improve your chances of getting approved for that card. So let's go ahead and go through the process and the most important things you need to do to increase your chances of approval. Step number one is something that we discussed in the credit management section, which is you want to get your utilization rate to between 1% and 9% before you do the application. And this is true both on an account-wide basis and on a card-by-card basis. And if you're not sure what that means, go ahead and review the credit management section of the course again, where we reviewed all of this in a lot of detail. So just a quick recap, you want to record the dates that each of your credit card posts their statements and make sure that a few days before they do that, that you pay down your balance so that when your statement closes, your statement balance is below 10%, so that when credit card companies look at your credit report, your credit score will be a lot higher than if you hadn't done that. So step one is to get your utilization rate down and have a low statement balance posted to your credit report. The next step is to just go online, find the best link that you can for the credit card, click on the link, and go to the bank's website and apply for that credit card. In the application process, they're going to ask you for your income. Use the highest number that you can honestly put down. So if you have a salary job, then obviously your salary is your salary. If you make $60K a year, then put down $60K. If you're a salesperson, if you have a restaurant business, if you have a website, if there's any way where your income is in flux or flexible, use the highest possible number that you can honestly put on an application. The banks will never ever check this number, so they will not ask for income verification or anything to that effect. So answer it honestly, but definitely make it as high as you can honestly put on that application. Another thing that the application will ask you for is your employer. Now, if you have a job where you work for IBM, then obviously put down IBM, whoever your employer is. If you are freelancing or if you're self-employed, I personally believe, and this experience is corroborated by other people on the internet who've gone through a lot of credit card applications, it seems that putting down self-employed is more likely to get you declined than if you put yourself down as employed with a salary. So my opinion is that it's better to put down the name of your best client. So if you're a freelance writer and you sometimes write for, you write for different magazines, but you oftentimes write for the Huffington Post, for example, I think putting down the Huffington Post is probably better. Putting yourself as employed as a category instead of self-employed will improve your chances. This is not something that is said by the banks. This is my personal opinion and the opinion of other people who have shared their experience. Do what feels in integrity for you. For me personally, if I'm a freelance writer and one of my major clients is paying me a lot of money, I feel comfortable saying that I am employed by that company. Okay, so once you go through the application process, you are most likely going to get a screen that says your application is pending or that your application is being reviewed. Sometimes, say 20 to 30% of the time, you'll get either an instant approval or an instant denial. Usually this will not happen unless you have really, really, really good credit or really bad credit. Most people will have a pending application screen. What does it mean if you get a pending application? That means your application couldn't be decided by a computer. They couldn't say yes or no very quickly, and instead it's going to a real human being. And this is the part that's really, really important. This is how you can double your chances of getting approved, or more even. Pick up the phone and call the bank. The phone numbers for each of the banks are in an accompanying PDF, and the phone number is called a reconsideration line. So what you're going to do is you're going to call the bank that's deciding if they want to approve your credit or not, and you're going to talk to the person who is going to make that decision. And this is actually really easy. Unlike calling customer service at a bank where you might expect to wait 15 minutes and go through a lot of hassle, when you call the reconsideration line, you will generally get an answer within 3 seconds and you'll be connected to a live human being very, very quickly. And the reason for that is because, remember, credit cards make a lot of money off of credit card customers. So if you're wanting to become a customer, they want that phone call. They want to take that call, have any questions or concerns they have answered, and to give you that credit card because they know that for most people, they're going to make a ton of money off of new credit card customers. So go ahead and pick up that phone, call that phone number, and what will happen is they will usually ask you some questions and verify some information. So when you're going through the application process online, make sure you have all that information written down. So where you live, who your employer is, the amount of money you make, how much money you spend on rent, all of these are questions that they might ask you. If you're applying for a business card, they might ask you how long you've been in business, what your annual revenues are, all of that kind of basic information. For the most part, the people on these phone lines are not quote unquote out to get you. They're not trying to trap you. They just want to know a little bit more about you before they make a decision. And if you sound like a real human being, if you sound friendly, there's a much better chance that you'll get an approval when you're on the phone with them instead of if you waited. If you just waited for that process to happen organically, your chances of getting approved are definitely less than if you call and talk to the person who's making that decision. So a couple of things that will help you get approved for this card is A, to make it sound like you're spending money in other places, such as on a debit card or on another credit card, and you're wanting to move that existing spending over to this new credit card. Credit card companies want to hear that you're already spending money on cards and basically want to move your business to this new account. Another thing is you want to avoid telling them that you're signing up for the card for the mileage bonus. So what they don't want to hear is that you're going to open a bunch of credit cards and sign up for a bunch of points, right? They want to hear that you're getting their credit card because you want to have it in your wallet and that you're going to use it for a long time. So, however, they do like it when people mention that they're applying for a card because of the specific perks that the card offers. So if you're applying for the United Mileage Plus card, you can call and say, hey, you travel on United Airlines a lot, you want to get priority boarding, you want to get free checked baggage. To them, what they hear is, this is a customer that we're going to be able to lock in because they really appreciate the card that's being offered. So these are a few of the things that the loan officer on the line is going to be looking for. Most of the time, these calls take anywhere between 2 minutes and 10 minutes. They're very quick, and they're really actually pleasant and easy calls. It's a real human being. They just want to have some questions answered, get to know you a little bit, and then make a decision on the spot about whether you'll be approved or not. So you won't spend days wondering if you have the card or not before knowing what the decision is. And the other big plus to getting a decision right away, instead of waiting for a few days for the bank to email you or send you a letter about their decision, is that if you don't get approved, you can move on to the next card right away. Most of the time when I'm applying for cards, I just want to know whether I'm approved or not, because generally speaking, I only want to work on 1, maybe 2 sign-up bonuses at a time. And if I'm not approved for a card, then that's fine. I want to move on to the next card, apply for another card, get that card, and work on that sign-up bonus. I don't want to have to wait a week to see if the first card approved me before I move on to something else. So this way, you get an answer within 10 minutes, and if the answer is no, then you can apply for a different card instead. So this alone should really, really increase your chances of getting approved. Just pick up the phone, call them, make sure you don't mention that the sign-up bonus is the reason that you're applying for the card. Mention the perks if they ask why you want the card, and make it sound like you have existing spending that you want to shift over to their credit card. And get to know them, let them get to know you, build a relationship with them, just be a little bit friendly, how's your weekend, etc. And that should really help your chances of getting approved. And one more tip, it's a good idea to create your account on the frequent flyer program before you create the credit card application. Once you have your frequent flyer number, just plug that number into the application. If you do a credit card application online and you don't see a field for you to put in your frequent flyer number, always make sure you call them and make sure they have your frequent flyer number on file. That way you don't end up creating 2 different frequent flyer accounts. This is really most important if you already have some miles with that frequent flyer program. So for example, if you have a United Mileage Plus account with 20,000 miles in it already, and then you go for the United Mileage Plus credit card with the 50,000 mile sign-up bonus, the last thing you want to happen is for them to create a separate Mileage Plus account for you. So make sure you get your Mileage Plus number and that is put into your application. If you don't see a field to do that, make sure you call them right after you apply and make sure they have the correct frequent flyer number on file for you.